Jenna Marbles, canceled. Shane Dawson, canceled. Oreo cookies, canceled. Barack Obama, canceled. How's it going, guys? It's your boy Tiger. In this video, I want to talk about cancel culture because I think it's a problem right now. Past few days, we've seen videos come out by Jenna Marbles, seen videos come out by Shane Dawson, all in response to things that they did wrong in the past. And I kind of think that cancel culture is just a little, it's toxic, man. It's just a little bit toxic. It's toxic, man. But yeah, this is a psychology channel, kind of. And I want to talk about the psychology behind these people who engage in cancel culture. That's kind of what I want to look into. I really want to try to understand why this is happening and why we're getting all these kind of reactions. So let's get into the video. Anyway, if you're new here, you haven't seen any of my videos before, just subscribe. If you like this video, subscribe. Feel free. But yeah. So first off, when we talk about Jenna Marbles, we're talking about, okay, what she did. What did she do? She had blackface. Not really blackface. If you really want to know what blackface is, this is my girl, Judy Garland. I actually really like her. She's a really good actor, but this is her back in the day. You might know her from The Wizard of Oz.
Uncle Tom's Cat's got a new routine. Lights across the ice in the limousine, while Simon Legree shakes his tambourine way down south in Dixie, swing low.
That's blackface. So you have to understand that there's something distinctive about blackface. It's the way it exaggerates everything, the exaggerated features of the face. Now, Jenna Marbles, I don't think she was trying to be racist or whatever. I can kind of understand how, like, some people, especially now after all of these, police brutality, protests, etc., I can kind of understand how some people got that reaction. But it's not really authentic blackface. It's not, in my opinion. Now, if you look at a lot of other stuff that she did with the whole, I don't know, ching chong bing bong or whatever thing she did, it was kind of, a little racist against Asian people. I forget, there was another thing that she did, I don't remember, but she went on camera, she started talking about how she's going to quit YouTube. I don't think she's going to quit YouTube, to be honest, guys. I think, though, she's kind of having a little bit of an emotional reaction. She doesn't know how to handle with it. And the reason why I think she's having this emotional reaction has to do with something that I call Dunbar's number. Now, you haven't heard about Dunbar's number. Basically, there was this researcher or whatever, and he tried to figure out how many relationships can humans have throughout the course of their life. How much cognitive space do we have? Because obviously, right, you can't, it's having 1,000 friends is not sustainable. Like, yeah, you might say you have 1,000 friends on Instagram or whatever, but you don't really. When you look when you look at the people that you really hang around, it's probably a very close, small group, right? So Dunbar's number is 150. Honestly, I don't care, what it is, to be honest. The gist of it is like, yeah, basically humans only have enough cognitive space to sustain a certain amount of relationships. And also in the way we perceive scale as well. You have to understand, when, like right now, if you try to visualize 1,000, it's very difficult to do that. If you try to visualize 1,000 or 1,000,000 of anything, that's hard. Okay, so this is the thing when you're something like Jenna Marbles, right? You have millions of followers. It's kind of hard to visualize. Even something like 1,000 like haters, let's say, because I don't think there's that many people who are against Jenna Marbles, but let's say there's a few thousand. That's still a lot of people. The brain doesn't know how to process that. Jenna Marbles right now, just like, oh, 1,000 people. I don't know. She's almost kind of equating these few thousand people who hate her guts to the 6 million people, because the brain can't process 6 million. So the brain's really just like 6 million. In my head, it's like really like I can only visualize like 50 people. Okay, 100 people, right? In the case of the haters, it's 1,000. It's like, okay, I can't really comprehend 1,000 people, but I can picture in my head 100 people hating me. It's not normal, guys. This is not how humans evolved. No, never in the history of our civilization have we had this kind of fame before, where somebody can gather millions of fans. No human has the skills to cope with that, I feel like. And I think that's what the problem with Jenna Marbles right now. I think that she is having a difficult time. I mean, she even spoke in her video about how she just didn't want to hurt people. And it's totally understandable. She's a very gentle heart, very nice person. It's kind of sad. It's sad to see that this is the state. But nevertheless, I do think that in the future she's going to continue on. And when we talk about Shane Dawson, he did a lot of different things. He did blackface. I don't know what's up with like so many people do blackface. Like Jimmy Kimmel, it was like the president or whatever they have in Canada, Trudeau or whatever. He did it. So many people are just doing blackface. I don't know what it is. I guess it was a trend back then, you know. But Shane Dawson, he made some sexually explicit comments towards like his cousin, who was like 12 years old, 11 years old. It's like basically saying like, it was really cringeworthy. It was like, let's talk about the birds and the bees and getting all super sexually explicit with underage girl. So it's kind of, here's the thing, Shane Dawson made an apology, and if you look at the like-dislike ratio, he got absolutely torched. It was like, when I checked, I'm sure it's more now, but it was like 250,000 likes and about 125,000 dislikes. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that are hating you, dude. That's a lot. Now, if you compare that to the Jenna Marbles video, Jenna Marbles didn't get as many dislikes. She did. For the most part, like there's like 8 million views. The vast majority of people loved it. I think like it was a very high like to dislike ratio. It was really good. Shane Dawson not so much. And I think one of the reasons why is because Shane Dawson, the way he came out, it's just not it's not as authentic, you know. He literally said that he was inspired by Jenna Marbles. Jenna Marbles, on the other hand, is somebody who had the courage to literally come up to the camera and say, hey, I messed up. So I think that's one of the reasons why you see that ratio. Anyway, who are these people though? Who are these people that are engaging in this kind of abusive behavior where they say, okay, they pick out certain people and say, okay, you're canceled. Well, there's been a couple different insights. Right now we don't know too much about it, but for example, if you look at cyberbullying, we do know that, for example, cyberbullies tend to exhibit a higher rate of PTSD symptoms. I think there was a recent study, very recent, just came out a few days ago, I think, and basically their results indicated out of like a few thousand subjects that people, for example, who engage in cyberbullying tended to have a higher risk to PTSD. That's interesting because I think what that tells me is that if you are somebody who's engaging in bullying, there's a higher chance that you might have a personality disorder, that you might struggle with something like PTSD. I think especially when people have PTSD in general, of course, just because you have some symptoms of PTSD doesn't mean you have PTSD. But most people, for example, who do have PTSD, I believe it's like 50% of them tend to have another psychological disorder. So that could be depression, that could be something else, but yeah, anxiety disorder, there's a lot of different things. So what I'm trying to say is that I think that a lot of these people who are coming out and trying to bash and cancel people like Jenna Marbles and Shane Dawson, I think what you're seeing is a lot of people, for example, who have more extreme personalities. I think that when you look at the internet, anybody can be anonymous. And that gives you a lot of power. It makes you do a lot of things that you probably wouldn't do in public, you know? That's why I think, you know, I think everybody can at some stage admit to doing it. I remember specifically I was looking at The Last of Us 2. I haven't played Last of Us 2, there's no spoilers, don't worry, but I really loved The Last of Us 1 video game. Super good, it's a masterpiece to most people. But I did look at like a little bit of the gameplay, and I've seen a few videos, and anybody who said that The Last of Us 2 was good got absolutely torched. Like people just like, dude, you have shit taste, you know. They just got totally wrecked, totally destroyed, just for saying that they happened to like a video game that another person did. And I think that's the weird thing. It's because it's like you're defending yourself a lot of times online. And I think sometimes it's voicing your frustrations and also your insecurities. Like, for example, if I, really like Last of Us, right? Last of Us 2, if I really liked it and somebody says, "Whoa, dude, no, that's wrong," that's gonna make me feel really bad. And the reason for that is because that kind of says to me, "Oh, I'm not allowed to have this opinion. Is there something wrong with me with the fact that I like Last of Us 2?" Some people probably say yes right now. But look, that's kind of how it is. And I think that you look at a lot of these people who kind of voice their frustrations in different ways on the internet. So instead of maybe, you know, punching a pillow, they basically try to troll somebody on the internet, or they try to get in a large group who, under the pretext of justice, engage in this cancel culture. Another really important factor that I think is worth mentioning here is this. Okay, so your perception on cancel culture is going to vary based on the experiences that you've had in your own life. I'll give you an example. I've experienced some racism in my life, so blackface, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm pretty tolerant though, so honestly, I tend to forgive when I see stuff like that. So in that case with the whole blackface thing, somebody, for example, who is maybe outside of that culture probably would understand. It's the same thing, for example, if like, I don't know, like I went up and insulted some war veteran. Like if you have any affiliation with the U.S. Army or anything like that, you probably get pretty rattled. But most people who haven't probably be like, that's not really a big deal. So I think it's really based on your experiences and what you've gone through in your life. So what I'm trying to say, especially for example, like the whole racist thing, like people, for example, who have experienced a lot of racism in their life, whether that be because they're Asian or they're black, you know, whatever ethnicity they're from, whatever skin color they have, it doesn't matter. Like people, for example, who've gone through those experiences are gonna say, well, hold on a second, I can't accept this. But let's say you haven't experienced racism, you're like, well, I don't see the problem, and that's probably because you haven't been through it. Same thing with the sexual kind of conversations that Shane Dawson had. Like a lot of girls, for example, who were sexually abused or have faced sexual violence, they're probably going to take that a lot more seriously than somebody who hasn't faced that in their life. You know, a sexual joke to them is going to mean a lot more than somebody, for example, like me, who has not been through that. So I think these are important things to understand. I will say, you know, PewDiePie. I think PewDiePie is the way to go, guys. Floor gang. Actually, I don't think he does floor gang anymore. But I love PewDiePie. I think, you know, he's my favorite content creator. And he's been through so many different scandals. And I think he is the model to go to for any YouTuber out there who's maybe afraid of something being revealed from their past life. I think people like Jenna, I think people like Shane Dawson should look up to people like PewDiePie. Because even though we talk about cancel culture, the reality is, like, it's not gonna work for you know, for minor things like that. PewDiePie, for example, I remember specifically the day when he used the N-word. I know the date and the time. No, but I remember when he used like the hard N-word. And I'll be honest, it felt a little bit weird for me. I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it coming out of his tongue. But look what he did. He went out, he apologized, game over, it's done. He addressed it. He knew he had to. Same thing with the whole, whatever, Jewish controversy. Like, you know, he addressed it, he moved on. Of course, he did lose a lot of partnerships with Disney, even YouTube, you know, whatever, canceled this TV series. But he's still going and he's still thriving. He's like the top subscribed individual on YouTube right now. So I look at PewDiePie as somebody, for example, who's not perfect. He's human, like all of us. And he's somebody who said, okay, hey, I made a mistake. This is what I did wrong. I'm gonna make a video on it. I'm gonna talk about it seriously and then move on. And he does. But I also want to make one thing clear. I don't like this idea that's kind of floating around that's saying, oh, cancel culture is horrible or cancel culture is amazing. No, I don't see things kind of in black or white like that. I think it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of good things about cancel culture when we're talking about more extreme cases, right? I mean, I think we can think of a lot of good things when maybe cancel culture actually benefited society. For example, if illegally starting an underage sex cult and marrying a 14-year-old, canceled. So these are kind of the more extreme cases where, you know, it played a role. I mean, if you look especially at the Me Too movement, there's been a lot of good things that came out of that. Of course, there's obviously the downside, you know, where you hear a lot of guys complaining about how they feel uncomfortable going on dates with girls because it's like, hey, if I touch your hand, are you gonna, you know? But the reality is, a lot of good was created from that movement. But I think what needs to be said is that when it comes to minor offenses, Things that we saw with Jenna Marbles, things that we saw with Shane Dawson, things that we saw with PewDiePie. Okay, apology. That's fine. I think that's totally reasonable. But to keep on pressing and to keep on trying to destroy a person's career, to ruin somebody's career, it's just not worth it. It doesn't make any sense. I think we need to continue to support people like Jenna Marbles, Shane Dawson, PewDiePie, etc., because these people are human. And honestly, PewDiePie isn't exactly a criminal. He's a pretty cool guy, very wise, very intelligent. Same thing, well, Jenna Marbles, I don't know that much about her, but she seems pretty chill. Shane Dawson, you know, overall, I mean, the dude couldn't hurt a fly, in my opinion. But that's just kind of what I think, I guess. But anyway, guys, I want to get your thoughts on this whole cultural detox in the comments down below. Tell me if you support it, if you're against it, whether you're kind of mixed. I want to, you know, hear your arguments, hear your thoughts on the whole situation. Also, if you like the video, feel free to like. Feel free to subscribe. You know, we're not shy here. You know, we, you know, enjoy the ride, guys. I'm gonna make some more videos too, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. But that's really it from here. Please have a wonderful evening, wonderful day wherever you are. Peace.